Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Teacher Mentoring Meets the 21st Century. I'm Cinda Ficker, your YouTube channel designer and facilitator, and today I'm going to start a three-part series that together makes up the second topic of assessment. I really struggled with cutting it down to 5-minute videos because I think assessment is so important. So what I've done is I've separated it into pre-assessment or eliciting prior knowledge, formative assessment, and summative assessment. And assessment is kind of one of those words right now that when you say it, people cringe and they're like, oh, we don't want to talk about tests. So I hope this series kind of helps you change your mind and see assessment in a different light. So here we go. This is a graphic organizer that I created to show the relationship between pre-assessment, formative assessment, and summative assessment. So even though pre-assessment and formative assessment are at the beginning of a unit and throughout the unit, they really kind of go together. I don't see any of these three elements of assessment as standalone. And in fact, I think there are several strategies for pre-assessment that you can use for a pre-assessment and revisit during the unit as a type of formative assessment. And I'll give you some examples of those as we move through these videos. As we begin this part one of this topic on assessment, I wanted to kind of look at it through the eyes of mentoring novice teachers. What do I expect that they would have probably gotten in their College of Education compared to what do I want them to know about using that knowledge in a classroom? So I tried to put together just a real short, what is it with regard to each section of this topic. So what is pre-assessment? I think novice teachers are going to come in knowing generally it's an idea of how do you get at what students already know? How do you elicit that prior knowledge? So on this list, I would direct my novice teachers to that third bullet. And I would encourage them to listen to their students and listen to that prior knowledge with an ear toward, is there some strategy that that student has been taught that I can add to my set of strategies for a skill? And let me give you a real quick example of that. When I was teaching multiplying decimals and I was doing my pre-assessment to see if my kids could multiply regular numbers, one of my students used lattice multiplication. And I had never seen that type of multiplication, so I asked the student to explain it. And throughout the rest of the unit, then, I was able to add that strategy and use that to model some of the problems. Not only did that increase my set of strategies, it increased other students' strategies during the unit, and several of them decided to use it. So I just think that's another lens that novice teachers and really veteran teachers can put on pre-assessment with students, is maybe it doesn't just benefit me in terms of driving my instruction, maybe it benefits me in terms of teaching strategies also. The second thing I would expect them to know is how to use that information. Novice teachers are probably going to come in knowing the word scaffolding, and they may even know about making content authentic for students. I would focus novice teachers on using that pre-assessment as a springboard for the last two bullets, that you can really use it for your English language learners to share their connections with you and then incorporate those as you create your instruction throughout the unit. And I would also use student prior knowledge to focus on cross-curricular connections. So how do we do this? How do we elicit this prior knowledge? Again, novice teachers are going to come in with, I believe, a few examples of how to do this. They're probably going to know Know, Want, Learn, or KWL. So what I wanted to do is kind of take some things that you're familiar with and put it into a pre-assessment context. Many of them have heard of the Frayer model. If you're not familiar with Frayer, the middle word is the vocabulary word. The top two sections are definition on the left and characteristics on the right. And then the bottom is examples on the left and non-examples on the right. By using this as a pre-assessment, I can revisit it as a formative assessment later in the unit. So you see on the left, I bulleted out for you how I would use this. These would be posters around the room. It's very non-threatening. You're not asking a child to try to remember something that they may not have heard for 100 days. They just walk around the room. They rotate through stations, maybe 2 minutes at each station at the most. And they write down, what do you remember about this word? And if you don't know anything, then that's fine. You don't write anything. And it kind of has a snowball effect. The more they rotate from group to group, the more they write, the more they tend to remember and dig out from their previous learning. Another thing that most novice teachers are going to be familiar with is think, pair, share. And I've bulleted this for you also, where you just put the topic on the board and you give them maybe a minute, because a minute is a really long time when you're all by yourself thinking, trying to remember something and you don't remember anything about it. It gets really embarrassing when you have nothing to write down. And then you share it with a partner or a group. Here, I would like you to look at how do you display that collective knowledge. If you have access to laptops, you can put a laptop in the group and they can do a Google Doc. And you can have a combined class Google Doc that can be everybody's thoughts in one place. And again, you can revisit that throughout the unit. The third pre-assessment strategy that I would share with a novice teacher is a concept map prediction. And this is just really give them an index card or post-it notes, and in their group have them predict how they think all the words, how all the vocabulary is going to go together. And again, you can pull this back out in the middle of the unit and they can redo their concept map. They can update it as they learn new things. So those are my 3 strategies. I would love for you to leave your strategies for pre-assessment in the comments. I have pulled together some resources. These videos are both really short and really good. I tried to get off of my Edutopia bandwagon and give you guys some other websites this week. So you've got them on here. Feel free to click and have fun. Let me know if any of them don't work anymore. But those are all fairly easy to read. Sure, they give you the quick list of things to do. If you're interested in longer books, that Carr and Ogle book from '87, they were the Know, Want, Learn, the KWL people. So that's if you want to know where that came from. And actually, that's not a book, that's a journal article. So that would be a good place if you wanted to know more about the development of KWL. And then the Joyce and Wheel book, that's another good book, and that one is a book. So you might want to set aside a little bit more time to read that. So those are my thoughts and comments on pre-assessment. The next video will be on formative assessment. But in the meantime, this is a collaborative channel. Please leave your comments. And in those comments, they can be pretty much anything, suggestions, experiences, additional information or resources. Pretty much anything related to pre-assessment in a classroom. Feel free to share my channel on your social media sites. The more the merrier, because it is collaborative. Share it with your colleagues. If you teach pre-service teachers, share it with your pre-service teachers. If you have anything that you would like for me to do that I'm not doing, please email me your ideas and suggestions. Most of all, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you.